That's it's a very interesting shirt you're wearing there, Karl.
Yeah, I know. If only there was some way you could buy it for a reasonable price online. Ah, it's really hot. Extras in TV shows and movies are basically just window dressing, in that they only really exist to show you, the audience, that the thing you're watching isn't completely devoid of life. Sometimes though, extras offer a subtle clue about the state of the universe they live in. For example, in Star Trek The Next Generation, the way some extras dress shows us, the audience, that there is complete equality between the sexes.
How does just an extra, like background dressing for a scene, of all things, show there's equality between the sexes?
Well, if, like me, you're a huge ass nerd who's watched all of Star Trek The Next Generation, if you watch very closely, you will notice in the background of some, but not all episodes, you will occasionally see male members of, the Enterprise wearing what, we would understand to be a dress, but is in the Star Trek universe known as a scant.
So what actually is a scant?
It's one of the uniform options people working aboard the Enterprise have, and it can be worn by either male or female cadets at their own discretion. And the fact that you see male cadets wearing it is a subtle indication that, in the future of that universe, gendered clothing is no longer a thing. Before we continue as well, Brad, can we both agree that that guy is fucking killing it? Because he's accessorised his scan with like this sick-ass pair of leather boots, man. That guy is like, he's catwalk ready. I love that idea that just this one background extra shows you, like, oh yeah, in this universe, no one gives a fuck about wearing a dress. So why would we? Like, we've got an alien on board who's like our head of security and he's got like weird forehead ridges. Why would you give a fuck if you're wearing a dress? As long as you're wearing the same uniform as everyone else, I don't give a shit. We can see the inverse a lot, and like, there's a lot of the women choose to wear, the standard, iconic leotard, but there are others who wear the dress. And I like that the indication there is that you have a choice. And some men just choose to wear the dress because maybe they like freeballing it. It reminds me a lot of the stories you've probably heard around summertime. And they come around, in the UK, they come around every year. I'm not sure if it happens in America, but a lot of schools in the UK have very strict dress codes, and usually a school uniform. And every year during summer or a heat wave, there will be a story, and it's one of my favourite stories, and it'll be a young lad or a group of young lads are sick and tired of their ball sticking to the inside of their leg, and they'll come in wearing a dress. Because obviously a dress is much more suitable for hot weather, and you will always see the Daily Mail or something losing their shit at the idea of boys wearing a dress, and they'll interview the boys and they'll say, well, it's hot and I'm playing football and I don't want to run around in black trousers that have no give. You want to see the overhead kicks I can do in this fucking dress. And I love that idea. Just the fact that in the statue they've broken down that arbitrary barrier between the sexes, why can't a man wear a dress? It's just an item of clothing.
All decks, all stations. This is the captain speaking.
I'm assuming there's quite a few comments below us flooding in from the whiny man babies.
Yeah, from the shit-ass men who can't, stand to hear the word equality in a YouTube video, angrily typing out what I'm going to say now. You're reading too much into this. It's just a guy wearing a dress. That doesn't mean there is equality in the universe. So I will direct people's attention to the book The Art of Star Trek, written in collaboration with set dressers, people involved with Star Trek, and more costume designers, where they refer to the scant as a logical development in the universe of Star Trek, given that they don't give a fuck about near enough anything else. So obviously it's a logical development that in the future, gendered clothing would not be a thing, and it's based purely on personal preference, which obviously this guy fucking went, you know what, I'm going to rock a dress today and some leather boots. No one can fucking stop me.
I'm pretty sure this is actually a common theme in Star Trek. They always try and emphasise equality amongst the crew and the people.
Yeah, it's something that goes all the way back to the origins of Star Trek itself. With Gene Roddenberry, famously insisting that the cast of the original Star Trek series be racially diverse and contain both men and women, to show that in the universe humanity has got past the petty squabbles we have today, to work together for the greater good, which is exploring the galaxy and fucking all the aliens. And the famous thing that they did is the first interracial kiss on television between Uhura and Kirk. Apparently NBC were wary about including a kiss between a black woman and a white man in the show out of fear it would upset people. I was going to put it out there, NBC, if you're worried that you are going to upset literal racist, you should probably, take stock of what you're doing with your life. Because if you are actively counting racists as part of your audience and then trying to placate them with the content you put out, maybe you shouldn't do that, because that's not like something that's going to be looked back fondly upon by people in the future. And it was saved because I forget, William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols, Kirk and O'Hara, they knew that NBC were wary about air. You know what? We're going to fuck up every single take that doesn't have us absolutely macking the fuck out. So they have no choice but to air us kissing. And that's obviously the shot that aired. And for most people, that's where this story ends. But I was really interested in it, so I did a bit of extra research. And you might be wondering, folks, did anyone actually complain? And yes, a single person did complain, according to people familiar with the matter. And it was a man from the South who was very angry about the kiss because he opposed the mixing of races. And that's awful, but there is a silver lining, because that guy included a little note at the end of his angry letter saying, I oppose the mixing of races, this shouldn't be on television, by saying, then again, I can't really blame Kirk for wanting to hit that. So he simultaneously, in this letter, said, I oppose all mixing of the races, but O'Hara's pretty hot, and I can't blame Kirk for wanting to get all up in that. It's I don't even know what to call that. That guy is clearly racist, but at the same time, he's okay with it because O'Hara's super hot. And he can't, obviously, Kirk is a hot-blooded male. He can't help himself around, a woman like that. That's what cracks me up. Literally, NBC was so skittish about, offending racists, and one of them got offended, and even he was kind of okay with it. It's holy fucking shit. But let's move swiftly past that. The comment section's angry enough. We've mentioned enough buzzwords that they hate already. So let's talk about something whiny, insecure men hate even more than that, and that's baldness. Because even baldness is something people had an issue with being shown in Star Trek in a positive light.
I'm pretty sure right now I can hear Patrick Stewart marching with confidence towards this conversation.
Yes, the earned swagger of a man who just has a dick 3 miles long.
It really was perfect casting for him to be in that role.
I know, and it almost didn't happen, because apparently people working on the show behind the scenes, during the casting phase, were well, Patrick Stewart, do you really want this guy? A bald captain? Does a bald man really command respect and, have an air of authority about him? And there's a great story told by Patrick Stewart himself about a time Gene Roddenberry was at a press event or something like that. And someone in the audience really smarmily asked him, it's so about the casting of Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard, don't you think in the 24th century they'd have come up with a cure for male pattern baldness? And Gene Roddenberry, without missing a shot, just looked him dead in the eye and just said, by the 24th century, nobody would care. Presumably before dunking a basketball into a hoop that materialised 11 foot above that guy's head. And to bring all of this together, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because think about all the weird aliens that are encountered during Star Trek. It's Captain Kirk bangs women who are green, and NBC were worried about him kissing a black woman. Then you fast forward 20, 30 years in the future, and you got Riker banging everything that moves, including an alien who is completely from a race that is completely without gender. Riker, if he can't find a hole, he'll make a hole.
You'd think with how long it's been since the original Star Trek aired, people wouldn't still be trying to kowtow to the racists in the audience.
It's a very unusual concept that is still very relevant today. It's quite prevalent on YouTube itself. Not so much kowtowing to racists, but just not actively challenging them when you probably have a moral obligation to do that, because you don't want to just kick the hornet's nest. And it's fair enough, anything for an easy life, but from personal experience, we've said on this channel before, I think I've said direct to camera once, if you are racist and watch this channel, you can fuck off, I don't want your money. And we joked about it after the fact, didn't we? That's the most non-controversial statement you've ever made. And we both, fun fact, both myself and Brad got complaints about that statement from people saying that it's not a very good idea.
Yep.
To antagonise your audience. And did you not hear what I said? If you are part of my audience and you are racist, I don't want your money. Do you after the Doom, the video we mentioned, the Doom guy who couldn't play Doom?
Yeah.
I got a lot of tweets after the fact, people saying, oh, thanks for bringing this to my attention. And it was all from people on Gamergate shit. And some guy's like, oh yeah, like, here's a guy who's like, shitting on games journalists. And I remember just retweeting saying, my mockery of this one individual thing is not an endorsement of your shitty worldview. Please fuck off and die mad about it. And that, again, pissed people off.
You know how we occasionally do the videos on like the women in history have been awesome?
Yes.
Because you said, oh, I don't like the fact they often get shunned.
Yes.
We did one of them, and it was like the 7th or 8th one we did, I can't remember. And some guy commented on it saying, oh, I used to love Fat Fiend, but now it looks like you're pushing an agenda. And I was like,
talking about awesome shit.
And it was a video about just a woman who did something cool.
It's
And
the thing
like, you're
of-
pushing an agenda. I don't like how you're taking this like stance, and it's not fair, like trying to manipulate your audience like this.
I just say, if your worldview is so fragile that just hearing about a woman like feels like a challenge to it, maybe you should learn to grow the fuck up and crib one of the lines from those kinds of people. Maybe you should move out of your safe space and stop being a snowflake. That's the great.
The Piers Morgan pies thing,
It's like, Piers Morgan, kids today are too offended by things, and he spent all day railing against a vegan sausage roll.
I do not understand the vegan sausage roll.
Because
they weren't replacing it. They added a new option to the menu for people who couldn't eat the sausage roll. It's because they were calling it a sausage roll, isn't it?
But sausage...
Even though vegetarian sausages have existed for years.
One of my favourite people, online, is a guy who plays fighting games called Sonic Fox, who is a black, gay furry. And if you don't know who he is, just that description alone is probably making a few people go... because he is a competitive video game player who is black, gay, and a furry, and he does not give a fuck. And the reason I love him is because he won the Trending Gamer Award or some shit like that, and he went on stage in a full fucking fursuit and said, I'm black, I'm gay, I'm a furry, I'm pretty much everything Republicans hate. And obviously, that statement pissed people off, but it led to the creation of this, one of my favourite memes I have ever seen. And it's a picture of the Hindenburg. It says, unlike you liberals, I'm not so easily offended. And then below it, it's the Hindenburg exploding. It just says on it, why did the furry make fun of me? It's like, fucking yes. It's like, oh, to get into the mindset of those people, it's like, oh, everyone in the world is just like this easily triggered snowflake who can't accept any challenge or criticism of their worldview. And just a quote from a guy in a fursuit sends me to a fucking frothing rage for 3 days. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not so easily offended. Oh no, a woman-led superhero movie's done well at the box office. This is the end of film as we know it. So imagine just being that fucking shit at life. That just little things like that just absolutely put you on tilt forever. And then imagine thinking that you're the one who is the logical one. Your reaction to a guy in a fursuit consulting you is to get pissed off about it. Oh, it's fan-fucking-tastic. It's like, I remember that quote so vividly because after it was made, someone went like, oh, why is he trying to force, politics into video games? And I remember thinking to myself, how poor is your media literacy if you can't see politics in media? So I'm going to give a big pro tip to the people watching this who are angry at everything I've just said. Every piece of media you consume is political in some way. And if you think it isn't, it either agrees with your politics or your media literacy is shit and you should probably read a fucking book.